All right, let's go ahead and talk about ATEN here. ATEN right out of the open gets a nice shot from 16, gets a nice run up here to about almost 1850. And since then, when it's topped out, you could see this long phase of consolidation here. And now it's starting to perk up and make it run up at new highs. So why is ATN even up and in play today? When you scroll out on it, you could see there was really no price action going on, no volume going on with it. So there's got to be some type of catalyst, or it's either a pump and dump. So let's pull up the news and take a look real quick. Here's the news feed here on ATEN. So here at 6:35 a.m., A10 Networks earnings, sales rise in quarter 3. Board approves first dividend, authorizes buyback of up to 100 million. Shares jump pre-market. Then we got another one here. A10 Networks surges on third quarter results. Now we got financial adjust price target on A10 Networks to 20 from 17. Keeps buy rating. So we have multiple catalysts here. If you've guys watched the masterclass, we've put a class out of keywords to look for in press releases. There's at least 4, maybe 5 keywords here that are just in this press release. So let's see here. I'm going to get my marker out. We're going to write all this down. All right. So keywords, we got an analysis, raising the price target from 17 to 20, and it keeps a buy rating. We have a price target from an analysis. So keywords, 1, price target rises from analysis. Earnings, sales rise in quarter 3. Third one, we got the company is doing its first dividend. That's pretty big. Company's first dividend. And then we got the company is also buying back 100 million shares. So that's 4 catalysts right there. Keywords to look for in press releases. All that's going to attract volume. We have the analysis putting a price target and rises it from 17 to 20, if I seen that right. Yeah, from 17 to 20, it keeps its buy rating. There's all types of long-term investors, swing traders out there that look for this type of stuff. They care about what analysis think. That's what attracts volume. We're right in the middle of earnings season. So the company is putting out positive sales for their quarter 3. That's good. That's going to attract volume. And company's first dividend. That's really good. That's especially for long-term investors. And long-term investors, they'll invest into a company just to get at the dividend. The dividend, and then the company's buying back 100 million shares. That's good. They're taking the supply, they're buying it back, making the supply out there a lot smaller. Supply and demand. If there's less supply of something and that demand comes in, prices are going to go up, right? So 4 keywords, 4 key things here working for ATEN. So now let's take a look at that daily chart. Looking at the daily chart here, you scroll out, always you want to try to look left. Anytime instantly that I see on this company did earnings, it was a green day. That's something to pay attention and look for. So there's an earnings green day. There's an earnings green day. There's an earnings green day. There's our earnings green day. Every single time this company put out earnings, it was a green day. Every single time. So other people are looking at that, and they're easily, every single time this company puts earnings out, it rises in its price. Now, we can also look at left. This thing's at all-time new highs. Look left here. There's nothing going on besides way back here. It was at $16.40. Now it's up at 1850s. So this stock is up at all-time new highs. People love stocks that are at new highs. Anytime there's a stock making a 52-week high, all-time new highs, weekly highs, monthly highs, any type of high. All these different traders out here have scanners and screeners set up to pick up stocks that are making new highs. So now we can go down and we can zoom in on the intraday chart on this bad boy. So we're getting a nice gap up. It had a good morning push. It's got all of these great catalysts for it. One thing that we forgot to look at was the float. How big is the float on ATEN? It's at 62 million right there. 62, 63 million float. With these bigger float name stocks, it takes a lot more volume for them to get up and going. But with these bigger float stocks, once they choose a direction and they start heading in a direction, the way I look at it is like a freight train. Once that stock picks a direction, the bigger the float is, it's like a freight train, and it's hard to stop that freight train. Not one person can come in with comparing it to a low float stock and put a big sell order out there and easily manipulate the stock. There's more of supply out there. So it's going to take a lot more for it to get that trend reversal going. So ATEN has all these good catalysts going for it. And also, it's easy to borrow. It's easy to borrow on some brokers. Easy to borrow on a stock like this. We know that 90% of people lose money and are wrong. Majority of people are wrong. So if something's easy to borrow for shorting it, chances are people are going to overflow in on it and think it's up too much because people like to top pick, over short a stock, and then you can get nice little short squeeze going. We just seen the same thing recently with I think it was BE, I believe. So BE was easy to borrow at some brokerages. And as you see, it was just lingering around at its high. It was getting a huge up move from 20 to 28. Easy to borrow. People automatically think it's up too much. It's got to pull back down. Just because something, short's thinking a way of, like gravity. If something goes up, it must come down, right? Yeah, that in that sense, but not in the stock market. Stocks can keep going up and up and up and up and up and up. They don't have to come down. They don't have to. Anything is possible in the market. Always keep an open mind. So with this being easy to borrow, it squeezed up from 29. Now it's up at 31, and it's still squeezing and pushing up higher. And it's still easy to borrow at Thinkorswim. And where I see that is right here. Easy to borrow right there. ETB. So BE is still easy to borrow. Shorts are underwater. And they're just slowly creeping this thing up and creeping it up. And you're going to want to keep an eye on when it's easy to borrow. Because then they'll flip it. And then it'll be NTB, none to borrow. Or HTB, hard to borrow. And when they switch it from easy to borrow to hard to borrow or none to borrow, that is a sign that we're near the top and things are about to turn. It always plays out like that. So watch. I bet you guys keep an eye on BE and keep monitoring to see if it's easy to borrow, and watch, they'll flip it to none to borrow or hard to borrow, and then it'll slowly start decaying. That's how they do it. So back to ATEN, we can continue breaking this down. So we have all of these good catalysts going on for the stock. It already chosen its direction to the upside here. Now we're going into a long consolidation phase. We have multiple catalysts going for us, positive catalyst. The stock has chosen its direction. And how many times have we seen stocks, when they choose a direction, chances are it's going to continue going in that direction, right? So we got our up move, stock pauses, takes a break, consolidates. It's a bigger float stock, so it's going to pause and rest, build up, move. It's going to move a lot slower than these small float stocks. ATEN consolidates just above that VWAP, 1770s, and now it's getting a nice push up to 1875. The average true range on this is 40 cent. That's another key thing you want to keep an eye out for with stocks. The average true range is telling you on average how much this stock likes to move up and down. So with 40 cent here, ATEN had a good up move here, and then when it was consolidating back and forth from 1770s up here to 1825. So that's about a 50 cent range that this was consolidating back and forth. And then when it finally decides to break upwards from 18, this pushes all the way up to about 1880. Now it's pulling back down to the area that it broke out from. And what you're going to want to do is pay attention to that $18 now. 18.25. I'm going to say 1820 is what you're going to want to pay attention to. If I can get it there with this green line. So the stock breaks up. Now it's pulling back. You're going to want to see the stock hold at the area it broke out from for further continuation. Now from here, it could easily fall apart and crumble. It could. Always keep an open mind. Always think to yourself, the longer a stock is in play, the more riskier it gets. Got to look back and tell yourself, this just had a good up move right here in the morning. Then it went into a long consolidation phase, just back and forth right here. Now it's breaking to the upside here and had another push to a new high. Take it in stages. I always want to try and attack these moves and get that money as quickly as possible and then just be done with it. I don't want to trade it anymore for the day because, like I said, the longer it lingers around and is in play, the more at risk you put yourself. All this volume, more and more volume keeps pumping into it every time it makes a move. More people equal more problems, right? Exactly. So good move here on ATEN. That's the type of stuff that you really want to pay attention for that confidence and seeing the big picture. And we got other stocks up in play that are stealing the attention from ATEN. Take note, ATEN, it's only got 6.5 million in volume on the day. Now let's take a look at other names out here. BKKT, this is having a good up move. This has got 39 million in volume. We've just had a good move on GREE. GREE's got, let's see here, 20 million in volume. What other good moves have we seen out here today? OCGN. OCGN's got 40 million in volume on the day. So we got all of these different plays going on. You want to keep in mind how many stocks are currently in play right now. It's earnings season. We know all the big money is focused on their big portfolios with all these companies putting out earnings. We have multiple different names up in play. It's gonna distribute volume in many different areas of the market. It can kind of make it harder to trade these stocks when volume is in every single different area. So there is a lot of good opportunity out here. OCGN, BKKT, GREE, ATEN, DWAC. I mean, there's a handful of names out here. Our job is to put all of these charts up, let them play out, let the chart paint a picture that makes sense for you. Let these stocks set up. Don't get caught up in zooming in on these charts so far, getting caught up in the micro time frame. Zoom out on these bad boys. Zoom out a few days just to get a big picture idea of what's going on. Patiently wait for your opportunity to arise. If it doesn't arise, then that's all right. We have another day. Market's always going to be here. Patiently wait for your play and your setup. When you spot it, execute it, lock in those profits, and then, like I like to preach to you guys, secure the bag. Don't overstay your welcome. Give back profits. Overtrade. Remember, the longer you sit around in the market, the more your mind is going to start playing tricks on you. Your mind and your eyes. You're going to lower your standards. You're going to be paying attention and looking at a stock for so long Eventually, you're going to start convincing yourself that it's a good setup, when in reality, it's a garbage C plus or D minus setup. So take breaks, walk away, come back 20 minutes, 30 minutes later with a fresh set of eyes, reevaluate these charts, and pay attention to the ones that most importantly speak to you. Just because everybody in chat and everybody on Twitter is talking about BKKT, for example, doesn't mean you have to trade it, right? We see all types of different plays pop up and run every single day. And most of the time, we see the easiest plays happen that nobody's talking about. The easiest. And we'll beat ourselves up and stress ourselves out trying to focus and trade the stock that everybody's talking about, while this other stock in the background that nobody's talking about just effortlessly runs up all day, pulls back, pushes up, pulls back, pushes up. So remember the saying, more people, more problems.